What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Canadian Famous Podcast, episode 5, with your host, Braydon Lynch. We're coming to you April 23rd, 2024. How's everybody doing? I'm doing good. Despite it's tough doing good nowadays with, everything going on in the world. It seems crazy. It seems like we're headed right to hell in a handbasket, or the whole world's full of shit. I don't know. But I try and stay positive, and I hope that some of you that listen to this or, watch the clips on Instagram or some of that stuff, that it brings you some joy, it brings you some happiness throughout your day, gives you a little laugh, so to speak. The other day I was walking, and I don't know if I talked about this last week or not. I don't think I did, but I was walking out to grab like an espresso, and I live like across from this high school, and so these kids were like skipping school or whatever, and they were like all like tucked over in like this alley, and they were smoking weed, and I just wanted to stop and be like, hey, you kids, you better not be smoking weed, you'll piss away your life like I did, right? And I wanted to give it to him and just be like, hey man, don't end up like me. Like I would have been a really good, a thing for them, like a good reason for them to quit, just me being who I am, being like, look, man, I've been to rehab twice, you don't want this for your life. So I go and I get my espresso, and then I come back, and as I come back, I walk by these kids again, and the one's like, oh no, I'm telling you, he's like, flat earth is like a real thing, like the earth is flat. And I'm like, fuck them, like they're already gone. At this point in time, it's like, is that what we've got left? Like, society, the kids are already thinking flat earth. Like, if those are the people who are our leaders of tomorrow, we are fucked. Like, and that's just, I'm just saying that right now. Everybody's like, oh, you got to invest. It's tax season. You got to invest in your RSPs and your TFSAs and stuff. I'm like, I'm investing in the idea that we're not going to be here in a couple years. Yeah, I'm investing in Armageddon. I'm investing in us all blowing up, right? It's like, spend your money while you got it. Have fun. Let the good times roll. Who sang that? I think it was the Cars. Cars sang that, or it was Trooper. We're here for a good time, not a long time. Maybe they sang the Good Times Roll one too. Maybe those guys were just wicked tunes, having nothing but good times back in the 70s, smoking the reefer, eh? I mean, if you think about it, the music, everything was better back in the 70s. Vehicles, everything was crazy, Everything was awesome back then. You could take me back to the 70s or something like that. I was never there for them, but I imagine they would have been pretty kick-ass, being able to buy a house. That'd be great. There were people that would light themselves on fire, right? Was Tiananmen Square or something? I don't know if that was in the 70s or the 80s, but people used to light themselves on fire to make like a real stance, and I know I was talking about this a couple weeks ago. The guy, my little buddy there at the A&W, he told me how he wanted to spontaneously combust, be the first person to just explode into flames in front of a crowd of people. Now that is different than just lighting yourself on fire. Spontaneously combustion, like that just happens. You don't even see it coming. Just boom, just a sucker punch from the side, and you're on fucking flames and you're dead. But these people make conscious choices to light themselves on fire. Yeah. And I don't know how you'd go through with it. Like, what, you put the Zippo, the lighter fluid on you, and then you just, and you just go for it. I don't know. There was somebody who did it outside the Trump court, the hush money thing. And it's like, dude, what are you proving there? All you're proving is that you're mentally ill. That's it. You're not stopping Trump. You're not doing a positive or negative for Trump. If anything, you're just bringing more publicity to the trial. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think that's going to make an impact anyways, right? Like, all you did is just create fucking third degree or second degree. I'm guessing you'd probably have third degree burns at that point in time, or first degree. Which one's worse, first or third? But I don't know. That guy's definitely got some burns for sure. And he was trying to make a political statement. You failed to do so, sir. People are crazy, lighting themselves on fire. The world's gone to shit. I don't blame them, I've been trying not to drink as much, right? And well, no, I'm not drinking at all. I don't know why I said I haven't been trying to drink as much. Yeah, I'm like 62 days alcohol free. Drink as much. Maybe I say that because I have the non-alcoholic still. I'm like, oh yeah, get home from work, I crush me a non-alky. It's a rough day. Gotta have something to take the edge off, right? No, I did quit drinking. One of the reasons why I decided to quit drinking, and I told you guys a couple weeks ago, I was going to tell you about our trip to Ireland, or my trip to Ireland. I say we because or our trip to Ireland, because there's three different people living inside my head. All the voices in my head, or all the voices in my head, and I went to Ireland, having a great time. So after Edinburgh Fringe Festival, I went and I flew to Belfast. Belfast was awesome. I spent the night there. I can't remember if I already talked about this, but hell, I'm going to talk about it. I spent the night in Belfast. It was awesome. I did a comedy show it was called The Sunflower. I met a guy. I did talk about this. I'm quite certain that I ran into a guy who I ran into him in Edinburgh, and he hooked me up with some gigs. And this guy, he didn't have the best breath, but it ended up that he knew a guy in Belfast who ran a comedy show, and he told me to reach out to the guy. I reached out to the guy, boom, got booked on it. It was a wicked show, sold out. I'm there, and there were some pretty big Irish comedians on the show, and I closed out the first half. They have intermissions during the show, and I did really good. I had a couple of applause breaks, and it was good knowing that like my comedy can translate like from over in like Canada to Scotland to Ireland, and like people are gonna get the jokes in either place. It's not like I'm just like, so Saskatchewan ran down to Alberta, and it's only the people there understand it, right? Like, so that was pretty fun. Belfast was a good time. I was only there one day, and most people were like, yeah, that's about all you really need there, unless you're gonna go like sightseeing and see like the troubles and stuff, like where there was like, yeah, I guess like car bombings, and the IRA and that we're fighting the British, that whole stuff going down, right? So I ended up taking a train from Belfast down to Dublin, and that was cool, like taking a train down. I forget how much I paid for the train. I don't think it was very much, but I did get there, and I was worried because they were like sold out, and I was like, oh, I got to get on that train, I'm gonna miss it, and he's like, oh yeah, we can sneak you on or whatever. And so I get on the train, and like the guy didn't sneak me on, he made me pay for a ticket, obviously, but nothing in this world is free anymore, I'll tell you that. So I get on the train, I go down to Dublin, and I'm listening to like the Dropkick Murphys. I'm like, let's go, like the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't remember. I think I was probably getting shit faced on the train. Maybe I had a couple road beers. Maybe I didn't. I can't quite remember. It was early. So then I got to Dublin, stayed in Dublin, did a bunch of comedy shows there as well. Reached out to, through friends of friends in the comedy scene. Hooked some gigs up, and they were fun. A lot of the shows there were great. They would like say that they were open mics, or like that they weren't, like they were kind of book shows but open mics, but like a ton of people showed up, and I'm like, holy shit, like this is a supportive scene. A lot of fun. Again, comedy translated really well. The people in Dublin, I noticed Dublin, there was a lot of like where I was at anyways, doing the comedy shows, which were all kind of down in the Temple Bar area. There was a lot of like travelers, like there was a lot of like Americans there. There was a lot of Canadians, stuff like that. So the humor really resonated well. It wasn't like it was just straight Irish folk there. It was a good time. I went, and how many days I spent there? I think 4 days I spent in Dublin. Got pissed drunk the entire time I was there. I went and saw the Jameson's distillery. I just took a picture out front. And then I went to the Guinness factory. That was a good time. Went up to the top, split the G up there. If you guys remember from a couple of weeks ago, you slam your pint of Guinness and you land the sud on the middle of the G. I was pretty well pro at that. So, yeah, I did that up in the Guinness storefront, and that was wicked. Bought some shirts, some memorabilia, stuff like that. Just spent a bunch of money I didn't need to spend. And then, yeah, we did a bunch of comedy shows. We did a comedy show at this one place called, it was called Peter Kearney's. No, that was the one, that was a different one. I forget where oh damn it, I'm gonna forget where it was now. Peter Kearney's was a good show. I forget who ran that one, but it was in the basement of this place and it was just awesome. But you could hear music, live music being played. It was super loud upstairs. Everyone could hear the live music, but they still were there for the comedy show. I opened that show up. It was a lot of fun. And then afterwards I just got floor licking drunk. At this place. They were playing live music. They had like this one song called The Fields of Athenry, and people are like going, IRA, IRA, in the middle of the song. And I'm like, holy fuck. Yeah. I remember I went and I wanted to get a shot of whiskey. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'll try that Teeling's whiskey or whatever. And I said, but just a little one, because I saw how they poured them. They were pouring like big double shots, right? And I was like, just like a little one. And the guy fills it right to the brim. And I'm like, oh no, that's too much. He's like, well, what's the point if you can't even taste it? And I'm like, all right, fair. And so I do this shot and fuck, it was so smooth. I gave him a tip for giving me a double, because I was like, I didn't even know it was a double. It was so smooth. It was probably the smoothest whiskey I've had in my life. Teeling Irish whiskey, not affiliated, not sponsored by at all. Drank that, drank a bunch of Guinness. Buddy Michael Moses was there. We had a good time. We were dancing up a storm, splitting the G. We're making videos. I probably tried splitting the G, I think 5 or 6 times. Probably a lot more than that the entire night. And I had weed at that time. I was getting high. Weed was terrible. But everybody was like, oh, you smell like weed. You smell like roaches. It's not big over there, you know. I guess because it is like you could get in trouble smoking it there, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, we watched when the music was playing, we watched this guy get kicked out. And the one guy who served me the double whiskey, he was front row center and he's pushing this guy out. He's like, get the fuck out of here. And they're screaming at each other back and forth, and the bartender kicks him out. And so he gets the guy right to the door, and as he like pushes him out the door, he grabs the guy's pint. And he like goes like this and puts it behind his back, and then he keeps cussing the guy out, you know, arguing with him. He passes his pint to his buddy, who is like another bartender who followed up behind him. He passes the pint to him. The other bartender pours the pint from the glass pint into like a little plastic cup. And then he passes it back to him from behind, and then the guy just grabs it and he goes, get the fuck out of here. And then he gives him his fucking beer in a plastic cup, and the guy goes from like screaming at him like, I'm not fucking leaving, you piece of shit. Oh, okay, I'll leave. And he gets his plastic cup and he just walked away. It was the fucking smartest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. For kicking somebody out. So Canadian bouncers, maybe that's, you know, we should change up the rules a little, you know, let you leave with the beers. Just make sure that it's not breakable. I'm not going to remember the name of the other. Oh, I'm going to remember it. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh, no. Haypenny, that's it. It was at the Haypenny. There was a Haypenny bar, and that place, I think it was over 400 years old or 300 years old. We did comedy upstairs there, and it was wicked. The stairs were like all like, they were all like carpeted stairs. It just had like this old school feeling, like there was like stained wood everywhere. We had a great show up there. That place was packed. We didn't even have room to stand in the show. We had to sit out in the stairway. We had to sit in this back stairwell, and we were all just like, all those comics were hanging out there. I opened that show up, had a great set. There was a group of, I think it was like 15 or 20 guys from Boston that were just wild. Oh man, that place was so fun. Same thing, drinking like crazy there, splitting the Guinness before and after the show. That was awesome. Where else I performed? There was another place, I forget what it was called, but I was in a contest. It was a gong show where if the judges don't like, or anybody doesn't like your set, they ring this gong and you have to quit. You have to stop performing. And so I got through my whole set. They didn't gong me, and then I went through again, didn't gong me. So I went to the finals. There was me and another guy, and there was like a minute left or something, and I picked like a joke that was like a little longer, and I ended up like getting gonged because my joke went over the time limit, or they just cut me off, I think is how it happened. Meanwhile, this other guy, he did a bunch of like short little one-liners, So they let him, they didn't let him win. He won because he stayed within the time. But then everybody was like, do your joke, like finish the joke. Because I didn't get to finish my joke. So I go back and I finish the joke and everybody's fucking roaring and they're like, oh, that was fucking fire. And like I could have won it, but they also had to like have the winner come back. And so I wouldn't have been able to continue on with the tournament of the gong. So it just made sense that I got second place. But yeah, it was a lot of fun the one night after we were partying at the Peter Kearney's there with Michael Moses. I was so drunk. We went and ran into these other Irish comics and we were drinking with them. It was one of their birthdays and he had been at the Fringe Festival and I had tried meeting him there, but didn't end up meeting. So we met him on his birthday and fuck, we got drunk. And then I went to leave and I decided instead of taking a cab, I don't know why, I was like, oh yeah, it won't be safe taking an Uber or a cab. I'll get mugged. So I might as well walk home. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Walk home while I'm floor licking drunk. And I remember Michael looking at me and going, are you sure you're okay, man? And me looking at him and not even seeing his face. I just, everywhere I looked, it was just a blur. I felt like I was just like in like quicksand or something, like I was just falling, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. And so I started walking and I walked like 20 minutes in the wrong direction. I ended up out front of the Guinness store. So I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, this is a complete wrong direction. I'm supposed to be 20 minutes the other way. Now I'm 40 minutes from my fucking hotel. And I'm like, son of a... I walk back. It's like good to know that while I'm pissed drunk, my like intuition's like, go to the Guinness storehouse. You are a Lynch. This is in your blood. There were also like a lot of nice, like really, really nice churches that I saw there. That one day when I was touring around, I went in and I saw like the confessional booths and stuff. Got a blowjob from a priest. No, that didn't happen. But yeah, it was really nice. The museums and stuff. So I ended up walking back. I walked by all these churches fucking hammered drunk, and I'm like, probably should have went in a confessional booth and just confessed my sins as I'm a drunkard, Lord. So I'm at the Guinness storehouse. I walk all the way back. I'm like in Temple Bar again. I'm like, fuck, might as well get another beer. I can't remember if I had another one or not. I remember there was a clip of us in the subway. I don't remember being in the subway at all. And I'm like chirping the guy who's running the subway because they had corn. Yeah, they were making like their sandwiches and they had corn that you could put on it. And I'm like, that's fucking disgusting, right? So I end up walking back and I could barely stand. There's other videos I posted kind of around St. Patty's Day. I was going to throw like this lifesaver thing, with the rope on it if somebody's drowning. Because there was like the Haypenny Bridge. I forget what the river is. It must be the Dublin River or something. I don't know. But so you're walking along I'm walking down beside the river and it was like the boardwalk, right? And I saw this lifesaver. And I went and I was going to throw it in and then I saw this cop and I was like, I'm not going to do it. Nobody's drowning. I saw it. I'm not going to get in trouble. So I keep going. I remember I stopped. I pissed in the back alley. I got a terrible bladder when I'm drinking. Well, actually, I got a terrible bladder in general. If I got to piss, it's coming out. And so I'm pissing in this back alley. This cop starts screaming at me, and I'm like, fuck, tuck it back in, piss all over myself. I walked back to my hotel, and I'd been carrying a bottle. I remember I got like a beer. And I crushed it and I was carrying the bottle in case I got jumped or something. I had some kind of weapon. Because my hotel was like right down by like the train station. It was kind of downtown Dublin in a little kind of dirtier part, it seemed like, And so I was like, I'm just not too sure about this. And so I remember I was walking and I had this bottle and I walked by I walked by this one street where I saw there was a bunch of guys hanging out and, people probably doing fucking the crack and all that shit. And I get like a little nervous, but I'm still swaying side to side. And then I saw this one guy kind of see that I was going side to side and he started walking towards me. And then I accidentally dropped the bottle and then I'm like, oh, fuck, there goes the weapon. And it's like smash, or my self-defense weapon, not a weapon. And so the beer bottle smashes. I'm like, oh, I'm fucked now. I'm fucked. And I'm like maybe 4 blocks from my hotel still. And I'm like, you got to get going. You got to get going. And so I'm like walking and I keep looking behind me. I maybe it wasn't 4 blocks. I think it was maybe a block or 2. And I'm looking behind me and this guy kept getting closer and closer. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this guy's definitely going to come and he's going to try fucking robbing me. And so I get to the hotel and I go to open the door and it's like fucking bolted shut. big fucking like wooden thing on it. And I'm like, holy fuck. And because it was like 4 a.m. or something. And I'm like, shit. And I look over and the guy's like half a block away. He's like basically running at me at this point. And I'm like banging on the door. I keep looking over. He's getting closer. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get killed. I'm like, I'm going to get jumped. And then I just remember like banging on the door. And I'm like, they're not opening. I see the guy getting closer and closer. And then I was just like, God, please open the door. I'm like, please bail me out. Please bail me out, God. And all of a sudden, boom, the door just opened. And there's like the front desk dude. And I'm like, and I just like ran inside. He slammed the door. I ran up the stairs as quick as I could. Didn't even say thanks to the front desk guy. Run up into my room. I locked the door like deadbolt it. And I just like hit my bed and I just passed right out. Yeah. Woke up the next morning. I was like, fuck is wrong with you? Like, felt the sickest I think I've ever felt in my life. I had drank the most I've ever drank, I think, in my life that night. And that next morning was when I was like, man, you should really, really get sober. Like, it wasn't like all the things I had done, like pissing off my family, isolating myself from friends and family, hurting people, loved ones, losing a girlfriend, none of that shit wanted me or made me like want to get sober. But that morning, waking up and being like, dude, you almost got killed last night. Like, you really need to turn this shit around. You need to turn this franchise around and draft the starting QB, right? A sober QB, right out of fucking Christian school, right out of Christian college, a good old born, good old American boy to lead this franchise. And so I remember coming back and I actually had like a meltdown there. I like recorded myself. I honestly, I felt like I was going to kill myself and I wanted to, I felt so alone, isolated. I'm on the other side of the world, basically, I'm in a country where I don't know really anyone. And I'm just drinking and drinking and drinking myself away. And I just felt like it the last night I was there. I was like, I don't think I can keep living like this. And so I recorded this thing and I like told my whole life story, talking about my borderline personality disorder, and I'm like crying throughout it. And at the end I said, like, I don't know, I guess like I'm gonna kill myself, or maybe I go back to Canada and I get sober and I get my shit together. And that was like in August of last year, the end of August. Or no, that was middle of September, I guess. So I got back to Toronto and I tried getting sober for a bit and I fell off, and some things started coming back and, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. I kept drinking and man, it got worse. I wouldn't say it was I wasn't drinking as much as I did in Dublin, but that feeling that I had was still there and I kept numbing it away and trying to, just chase it away and just drinking. And towards the end, man, I remember waking up and there's a bottle of red wine right beside my bed table. And I'm like, pick that up and I'm drinking red wine for breakfast, puking it up in the shower. And then I had to go to rehab. And that's what did it, man. That rehab, it started the process of the sobriety. And so, yeah, I've been, I'm 62 days now, and and I'm knocking on wood. I don't know why. It's by the grace of God that I'm here. Like every time I get into a sticky situation, God bails me out. And that night in Ireland was, that was no different, man. I was right about to get mugged, and I just like screamed out. I was just like, God, please, please help me, God, help me. And boom, that door opened. And it's happened a lot of times in my life. I ran into a semi going head on in my pickup truck. God saved me, guardian angel or God, Jesus, whoever is protecting me. There's someone out there protecting me for sure. I've been hit by a car as a pedestrian. Head hit the car, woke up on the pavement, blood rushing into my eye. And I'm like, praying and I'm like, I got to get through this. And then I hear this voice saying like, I've got you. I'm not done with you. Like there's work left to be, you've got a purpose on this planet. And I'm like, holy shit, So I definitely believe that there's a God. And, that's my higher power, and that's what's been keeping me sober. And it's funny, though, because I do notice, like drinking things and drinking tendencies. Like the other day, I was walking home late from comedy, and I'm walking and I hear these kids, or I hear this running, people running, and I look back and there's two, I say kids, but they're like, I don't know, maybe 21, 22, like college kids, right? And these guys are running, and I'm like, oh, good for them, getting exercise at 12:45 in the morning. And I'm like, huh. And then they pass me, and I'm like, they're not dressed like they're exercising. And besides, who exercises at 1 in the morning? And I'm like, oh, they're running to make a last call. They're running to hit a pub so that they can get served one last time. And I'm like, that is something I would totally do. Totally do that. I feel, I can get addicted to anything that makes me feel better, and I think that rings true for most people with addiction, right? Once they get sober, they transfer their addiction over to other things, right? Um, you know, it's just a matter of if they're healthy or not. I think the majority of society, I would probably say 95%, it's probably higher than that. People that own smartphones or have smartphones, I would say, are addicted to their phones. I remember being in rehab, and people, guys are coming off of fentanyl. Guys are coming off of like cocaine addictions, heroin addictions. They're coming off of the benzos, They're coming off of alcohol withdrawal. All this withdrawal. And the worst part is I need my phone. I need my phone. They'd always go to the counselors because we weren't allowed to have our phones in rehab. They'd go to the counselor. Oh, I need to use my phone. And the counselor's like, oh, no, you can't have your phone. You might call your drug dealer and get drugs. And the guy's like, fuck the drugs. I don't need the drugs. I just need my phone. It's like the phone is the fucking drug, man. Look at me right now. I'm talking into it. I'm doing this, making content so that we can all see it on our phone and on our screens. Like, it's fucking wild to me. The level of how we can be so connected yet so far away, and now every person's opinion fucking matters. And to be honest, it fucking doesn't. I cannot stand when I see people protesting things and, oh, this isn't fair. Oh, this. Sure, there are a lot of bad things going on in the world, and I get that. And if you want to voice your opinion for that, sure. But to fucking inconvenience somebody else because of your thought, and you think that what you think is more important than what somebody else thinks, you fucking fuck off. Like, seriously, I have the biggest problem with society right now is that everybody thinks that their fucking opinion matters. Coming from a guy doing a podcast, I'm like, hey, you listen to my opinion. But it's the truth. Everybody thinks that what they have or what they think is right is what's right, and anybody else is wrong. And it's, oh, I'm so important. You have to, if a store, does something wrong, oh, I'm going to let them have it on Twitter, and we're going to get the fucking mob out and get everybody pissed off and riled up. It's so fucking sickening, man. I wish we never had these smartphones come in. Honestly, I wish we could just go back to the 70s, just have me a little American muscle car, little Mustang, right? Have a little cut off fucking shirt, smoking Marlboros. Well, maybe that's not healthy, but I don't know, man. I think life was a lot simpler back in the day, and now it's crazy to think how we're gonna get out of this. I don't see society doing well with technology, and with technology increasing, especially with artificial intelligence and everything. I don't see this ending good for us. And that's what I'm investing in, man. I'm investing in Armageddon. I think we maybe have 6 years max. And when we do hit 2030, the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, all those fucks, they're all going to try and take away everything anyways and put us in these fucking camps. So, I mean, spend it while you got it. Eat the meat while you can. They're going to say you can't eat meat. It's going to be, a treat that you can have once a year. Fuck off. I eat meat every day. And if I didn't, I'd probably kick somebody right in the nuts. So that's my rant on that. You can be addicted to anything, There's people that get addicted to all you can eat shrimp. So much so that they bankrupt Red Lobster. Yeah, Red Lobster, I think they said that they lost, it was either 11 billion, sounds way too much, but I think Red Lobster lost $11 million on all you can eat shrimp. And to me, that is so fucking funny in the middle of inflation. There was a CEO somewhere that was like, well, we're going to keep doing all you can eat shrimp. And they're like, sir, it doesn't seem like the numbers are good. And people are always taking the shrimp and putting them in their pockets. And he's like, well, we'll crack down, our $15 an hour minimum wage fucking servers. They'll be the ones that are going and policing, making sure people don't put the shrimp in their pockets and take them home. They lost $11 million from fatties just eating all you can eat shrimp, just meh, 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 meh. In the board meeting, they're like, what the fuck happened? We got to claim bankruptcy. What was it? It was the all you can eat shrimp. I'm telling you, we should have never done the all you can eat. Whose fucking idea was that, right? Buffets, all that shit. You remember that? Just, yeah, eat until you can no longer eat anymore. That's a good financial fucking economic strategy. Your good financial strategy. Yeah, just let them eat all they want. They'll buy a couple beers. Not in inflation, they won't. People are going in there drinking water, just filling up buckets. Just filling pockets full of butterfly shrimp, popcorn shrimp, Diablo shrimp, shrimp scampi. I don't know what kinds of shrimp they got, but they probably got some pretty decent ones. I kind of want a Red Lobster biscuit. That's the only thing I ever liked about Red Lobster was the biscuits. And everybody else was like, oh, Red Lobster's great. I remember my family, I was young, and this was like one of those core memories. We were at a restaurant in Regina. We were at Red Lobster, and we put in our order, and for whatever reason, like maybe the server didn't put it through, and then it came back, and my mom was like, hey, where's the food? And the girl was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put the order in. And then she put in the order, and then the order took an hour, and it was like we were in this restaurant for like 2 hours. Shit, my mom just lost her shit. So did my dad too. Well, they had two fucking hungry kids. I think I was maybe 9 years old. My brother would have been 6 or 5. Like, you gotta feed the kids, right? So I always had a bad taste in my mouth about Red Lobster because I remember my dad going, never fucking again. We're never eating Red Lobster again. I'm quite certain it was either him or my mom said that. We're never eating Red Lobster again. And I was like, oh yeah, fuck Red Lobster. And then I remember I was in college and me and my buddy, we went to Red Lobster. And I think we had all you can eat crab. I think that's what we did. But I remember having crab legs. But yeah, we had Red Lobster because it was close to us. And we were in Calgary. Then we went out partying and I drank a bunch of Blue Rev. And then later that night, I was at his house and I went and I passed out on his bed and I ended up puking off the side of the bed, puking fucking Blue Rev and crab chunks all over. He was so fucking mad at me, but whatever, we're still buddies now. That's how you know you got a good fucking bromance, right? You got a good bromance when you can puke fucking Blue Rev and crab on a buddy's bed and he still forgives you. He was mad at me for a while. I remember we didn't talk for a few months after that. Yeah, so Red Lobster, they're toast. Taylor Swift, she should buy Red Lobster. She's got enough money, right? 1.1 billion. Just came out with her new album. Fucking Travis Kelce probably works for Pfizer and the Illuminati. She's running the whole world. This woman is the most popular. She could buy Red Lobster and call it Swift Lobster or something, and that place would fucking take off overnight. All you can eat shrimp, more like all you can eat is Swift. Eat my Swift. That got a little dark. That got a little dirty. But I mean, seriously, Taylor Swift could buy Red Lobster and turn that franchise around overnight. She could do it. She's got so much popularity. I haven't listened to any of her new music. I mean, I listened to one. This Post Malone, like, I thought you were a rapper. I thought you were cool. You got face tattoos, and now you're doing a song with Taylor Swift. Like, come on, buddy. That's the softest. You're softer than baby shit. You got face tattoos, and you're going to do a duet with Taylor Swift. And that was the one song I listened to, and I off. Because there's something like, oh, I touch myself. Oh, I want to touch myself. Oh, I'm going to touch myself. Post Malone's like, yeah, I'll do a song with you, Taylor. Only as long as I say, oh, I can touch you. I think that's what they say. It's like, oh, I want to touch you. I touch you. Touch you. And they just keep repeating it. It's like, buddy, face tattoos, talking about touching Taylor Swift. You're soft. Just give up. You're basically Snoop Dogg at this point, just doing anything to get your hands on some fame. Like, fucking give it up. Go back to 1970 and drive a Mustang. Hey, man, like, you worry way too much about your phone. Post Malone. Yeah, everything's crazy. They're telling us that we're going to get rid of the Mustangs. the gas-powered vehicles here in Canada. I think they said by 2035 or maybe it was 2030. Oh, World Economic Forum. They said that we're not going to be able to drive gas vehicles here in Canada. They're going to phase them completely out. It's all going to be electric. So go, yeah, how are you going to do that in a bay? And everyone's saying, how are you going to do that in Canada? It's so big. There's so much, nature and wildlife. People have to drive trucks. And they go, oh, well, there's electric trucks. Oh, look at Tesla. They got the Cybertruck. Yeah, well, they just fucking recalled 4,000 Cybertrucks. So obviously they don't work too well. Every single company that's invested in electric vehicles are starting to pull out of it because it's not profitable, right? So you guys are just government that says, oh, it's going to be electric vehicles forever. They're smoking the fucking pipe. That's why weed got legalized. The liberals smoke way too much of it. And everything that they have cooked up for the next year. Oh, yeah, we're going to electric vehicles. Oh, yeah, you can't use plastic bags. Man, the world's not going to change overnight. Besides, Canada doesn't even emit carbon emissions. I saw that on TikTok last night. We've got so many trees that we are carbon neutral already at this point. And the only thing that we could do is just say, hey, China, maybe stop burning coal. And this is the other crazy thing. We just increased the carbon tax. The price of gas just went up 14 cents a liter. 14 cents a liter because of this carbon tax so that we could save the planet. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, fucking Israel and Iran are fucking just shooting fucking missiles at each other, shooting drones, shooting them out of the sky. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, there's no emissions going off in that. Hey, yeah, let's drive electric vehicles. Okay, us driving a gas vehicle to work and back in the middle of Canada is what's causing a problem. In the middle of the biggest forest, pretty well in the world, the boreal forest. Like when we're already carbon neutral, oh yeah, let's tax us and make us not be able to afford houses or not being able to afford food or gas, so that we can make a big difference in the world. Meanwhile, people on the other side of the world are just firing missiles off like there's no tomorrow. And it's like, oh, that's not emitting any emissions? Fucking give me a break. Just the level of this country, the level of nobody gives a fuck anymore. You guys, I saw the video about those guys who stole, I think it was $20 million or maybe it was more than that. Something like $20 million of gold from Air Canada, from Pearson Airport. And they released the video of these guys. There were 4 Indian dudes. And these guys, they did it like they were loading up a pallet of Doritos, man. Like they show the video, they back the truck up, like no fucks given at all. The guy's got a forklift and he's not even driving the forklift like fast. The one guy's like, yep. He's giving him hands. He goes, come on, no, back up. Oh yeah, just a little slower. Yeah, put her down right there. They put it in the back of this truck. They didn't even strap it down, cargo strap it, nothing. But they did it so nonchalantly, just, oh, who gives a shit? This is Canada. Nobody's going to bust us. They obviously had some inside intel on it, and I think they've got caught since. But there is one guy that they haven't caught, and I'm quite certain they have not found the gold. So these guys did get away with it. They may spend time in jail, but who knows? Maybe they were the fall guys. Maybe these guys are just the fall guys, and maybe it was the government who stole the gold, right? And they're putting it away for the carbon tax. I don't know. But these guys, they got out of there. They beelined it out of Toronto, and they ended up on this back road going north or something like that. And then the truck just disappeared. And they had like $20 million worth of gold. I think it was 6,000 gold bars. You imagine how heavy that thing would have been? It's just crazy to me to think how easy they did that. And, just the level of security, the level of give a fucks in the world is just gone to shit. But they are they kind of did get caught. There's a big boxing fight on the weekend. Ryan Garcia, he's back. The king is back. He got big on social media, throwing left hooks on people. And before this fight, he went crazy. He was saying how the Illuminati's real. They captured him and took him out to I think it's called Cedar Grove outside of California. And they were sacrificing kids in front of him and stuff. And he's like, these guys are sacrificing kids. They're eating them. This shit needs to be stopped. And everybody's like, dude, this guy can't box. He's not mentally well. The doctors need to tell him he can't box. He's loopy. He's out of it. And who knows? Maybe he did see them fucking cutting off a foreskin and eating it and doing the adrenochrome and the Illuminati. They say that it happened. I mean, I wouldn't, at this point in time, it could be true, that all these celebrities are sucking adrenochrome back and, they're all going wild. Who knows? And maybe Ryan Garcia saw it and he's like, I'm busting this out. He's a big church guy. He likes Jesus, right? I think what's a bigger possibility is he had lost to, I think it was Devontae Wilder. He had lost in a fight and he was kind of irrelevant. People didn't really care about the King Garcia anymore. So I think he did this to get hype around him, right? There's a bunch of hype. Then he comes out and he kicked the shit out of this guy, apparently, in this boxing fight. Like, kicked the shit out of him, won a $50 million purse. And it's like, I think he definitely amped up, the lead up to it. It's like WWE, right? As an entertainer, he's like, oh yeah, I'll go crazy, get in the news headlines, boom, come out, win. Now he's relevant again. All of a sudden he comes back and he's normal. I think that's more likely the case. Maybe he did see some dick touching going on by the Illuminati. I don't know. If it was, Taylor Swift was there. She would have been snipping the, I don't know why I said that, but it's a good chance. I saw the Spice Girls. Spice Girls are doing a reunion. Victoria Beckham, she's having a birthday party, and the Spice Girls are gonna do a little performance. What a birthday party! There's nothing that says I'm such an egotistical fuck than having a birthday party and then saying, oh, by the way, you're all gonna watch me perform at my birthday party with my 4 fucking lesbian chick friends. I don't think they were all lesbos, but I know there was one that was lesbian. And so the Spice Girls are going to do a reunion. Victoria Beckham's birthday party. I don't think anybody else gets to watch it. It's just going to be her friends. Like, it's just the most, that's the most asshole thing ever, right? And next thing you know, the Backstreet Boys already did come back, right? With the music, they're talking, I saw this, the rock and roll inductees were named. Cher was one of the inductees, the rock and roll, and Mary J. Blige. They don't sing rock and roll. I mean, I didn't know that other people, other music genres got put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I didn't think Cher qualified. Do you believe in love, but the love, something. I don't know how Cher got in there. Well, she's a banger. Like, she's got good tunes for sure. Mary J. Blige, good tunes for sure. But is that rock and roll? No, it's not. Ozzy Osbourne, he's one of the inductees in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it's like, okay, that's good. He's an actual rock artist. Fucking, let's go, Ozzy. He's probably like, who's inducted with me? Who's a Mary J. Blige? Cher. You gotta be kidding me. Cher is inducted the same time as Ozzy. He should have fucking been in there 10 years ago. If Ozzy's just getting inducted in right now and it's at the same time as Cher and Mary J. Blige, what the fuck is that for a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? The world's gone crazy. I said it at the start of the episode and I'm sticking to it. This was something that I was reminded of this week. When I was young, I had my leg broken. My dad broke my leg when I was playing football. We were playing catch together, and I was going to football camp the next day, and we were, tackling and whatever. My dad tackled me, and he fell over on my leg wrong, and it fucking snapped. Worst way to break a leg, right? He felt terrible. I sat there laying on the back being like, my football career is over. I ended up playing the next year, but I missed that whole year. Anyways, I go in, I get a surgery done on my leg, and they put a plate and 9 screws on my tibia bone. I fractured the tibia and the fibia. But they had to put a plate and 9 screws on the tibia because they couldn't put a rod down the middle of the leg because I was still growing. So later on in life, I got the plate and the screws removed. It didn't really bother me, but I wanted them out. So I go, and when I go in for the surgery, they line me out, and they're okay, gonna be an easy procedure or whatever. And before I go in, I was nervous. I was always nervous about going under, being put under, and then not waking up, right? And so before we go in, I said to the nurse, I said, oh, could I just have a minute alone? And she, yeah, for sure. So I'm in this back room, and I prayed to God. I said, like, God, protect my family, like, protect the ones I love, and, protect me, guide the surgeon's hand, and I'm praying. And then this nurse comes out to me and she goes, I've been working here for 25 years and you were the first person that I have saw pray before that they have the surgery. And she's like, that was so beautiful. And she's like, God will protect you. I'm like, oh, that's nice. So I go through the surgery, right? As I come out of the surgery, I tried standing up and they were like, whoa, 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 no, you can't stand up. And I was like, shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch. And I tried like pushing them and I tried fighting them. And there was like 3 people that had to like hold me down, and I'm like, ah, like basically going crazy. And they're like, put him under. And then they like put this mask on me, and they had to put me back to sleep. And then I remember waking up the second time, they were all like looking at me scared, and I'm like, what's the big fucking deal? Why are you guys looking at me like I'm gonna fucking kill you? And then my stepmom told me that as I came out. I was like, oh yeah, I do remember going crazy. That nurse was probably so petulant, like just fucking horrified. Probably still has nightmares about me. Like, oh, this guy's so nice. He's praying to God before. What a good Christian kid. And then she's like right there, and she's like, God did protect you. And I'm like, get away from me, you stupid bitch. I'm fucking nuts. This is another funny story that I had happen that I wasn't. This happened when I was drinking, and I wasn't. I had kind of, I didn't want people to know this, but yeah. And so I had a roommate at the time who, this guy, I call him Labatt Blue. He would drink like 8 Labatt Blue a day. He'd sit out in the living room and he would just sit there and drink beer all day, listening to 80s music. 80s music, and he would always tell me, about these stories about him being in a frat back in the day. He's reliving his frat and all this stuff, and he told me, I remember on Christmas Eve, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I'm gonna call up my buddy that we were in the fraternity together, and I'm gonna tell him this poem. And he read me this poem, and I was like, dude, like, you gotta give up, the glory years, the glory days, right? Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen, that was this guy's song, right? This guy would crush Labatt Blue all the time, but he was so dirty, he was so messy, he never showered. Like, he would only shower when we brought it up. Me and the other roommate had to be like, hey man, like, it smells really bad. Like, do you think you could shower? Like, this guy actually smelled like a homeless person. And so then he said how he had OCD or something, and that's why he didn't shower, because he felt like a cat and he didn't want to get his hands wet. And I'm like, all right, man. So this one day I come out in the living room and it's just a mess. There's Labatt Blue cans everywhere. It smells awful. And I said to him, like, hey man, like, do you think you could clean up? Like, it's a mess. And like, do you think you could shower? Like, it smells really bad. And he's like, fuck you. And I'm like, what'd you say? And he's like, I said fuck you. And I'm like, you want to fucking go? And I had just been so beaten down. I had a lot of things going on in my life, stuff with the car accident and everything. And this resentment with this guy had just been building and building and building, right? And it smelled like a stinky homeless person in our living room every single day. And so I was just like, I had enough. I'm like, you want to fucking go, man? And he's like, yeah, you want to go? Let's go. And so I went at him, and I had worked my shoulders out the day before, and I like went hard. And I didn't want to like hit him. I just wanted to kind of assert dominance and kind of ragdoll him around a bit, and then just be like, fucking, I'm the boss here, and which is kind of fucked up, But I wanted to be like, dude, clean up your shit and fucking clean up, go clean yourself. Like, this place stinks. I was so tired of having this place stink, like homeless person, right? And so I go up and I go to grab him and I push him, and as soon as I push him, my left arm just popped out of place. My shoulder, first time it's ever happened in my life, my shoulder just dropped and I couldn't move it at all. And so then I'm like, so I go and I basically start the fight. I go to push him and I grab him, and then my shoulder just goes drop. And now I'm just like wide open, and he just goes whack and just fucking punches me. And I'm like, holy fuck. I get like knocked. I don't get knocked out, but I get knocked out. Like I fucking, it was a big punch, right? So I go down a bit. And I come back up with my right arm, and meanwhile, I can't move my left at all. And so I'm kind of trying to wrestle him with my right, and I kind of push him over the couch, and then he comes back over top, and he's got a couple inches on me and probably 15 pounds. How? I don't know. He never ate, just drinking fucking Labatt Blue all day. And so Labatt, he fucking I got him and I kind of wrestled him over the couch and I was kind of holding all right. And then he just like took my right arm down and this one wasn't moving and he just puts me in this headlock and then he just starts shit talking me. And now my head is right beside this guy's pit and I'm smelling all this homeless stink. And it's like, it started with me complaining and being like, dude, do you think you could shower? Like, you fucking stink. To me being like held right by his armpit and him being like, fuck you, you asshole. And me being like, okay, uncle, like I tap, like I give up. You don't have to shower, you stinky fuck. So he ended up like letting me, or I said, I'm like, all right, I give. And then he like fucking lets me go. And I'm like, just fucking shower. And he's like, I'm not going to shower. And I'm like, just fucking do it. So we ended up hashing our shit out. He went and he showered and I bought my arm back out and my arm was fucked. For a couple weeks afterwards, my shoulder was fucked. And old Labatt, he ended up moving out. It was like a couple weeks later, but yeah, I had ripped his shirt. I felt bad. I had ripped his shirt, and he felt bad. He hit me pretty good. I had a little black eye for a bit there, but yeah, it was so funny how I chirped him, and I'm like, you stinky fuck, have a shower. And then it was just like God or the universe was just like, oh yeah, well, you got a problem with the stink? Well, you want to act like that? You're gonna have your head full right by his fucking pit. And I just remember just this, the god awful stink. Just please stop. Meanwhile, he's, fuck you little asshole. You like that? And he must have known how stinky it was. Just drank Labatt Blue all the time. And then I ended up having a Labatt Blue after, and I was like, I kind of get why the guy drank them. They are a good beer. But that is the beer of, like, that's a beer for somebody who's been on house arrest. That's the beer of somebody who's definitely hit their wound. That's a beer of someone who's stuck in the 70s or stuck in the 80s, you know. Frat drinker from the 80s. Old Labatt Blue. Wonder where he is now. I'm going to end on this one. A lot of people say like I messed up and or I messed up or like I'm a dick because I only got half a soul. I got half a soul because my parents and my mom is ginger and my brother's ginger. So it's like I only got a little bit of a soul. It's like the right and wrong isn't there. It's just like, can you imagine if I would have got the ginger gene? You know, I'm so lucky that I didn't get the ginger gene. It's like, yeah, I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, alcoholism, depression, but at least I didn't get the fucking ginger gene, right? Can you imagine me with freckles and red hair? There's nothing wrong with it. I love my mom. I love my brother, you know, and I think, you know, red-haired people probably do have souls, but most red-headed people are a little crazy. I will just say that, you know. So if you're a redhead out there and you're listening, you know, maybe just pray to God and say, you know, do I have a soul? Because a lot of people think you don't. And I'm one of them. No, I'm pretty lucky I didn't get the ginger gene. So, yeah, that's been me, Braydon Lynch. I'm going to be back next week. Will be, April 30th. Tuesday, we'll be doing this again. Oh, I didn't do a Tugging It Tuesday. Oh. Beat up 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 but up beat up 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 but up beat up 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 and tugging it and tugging it and tugging it. We're tugging it and tugging it, tugging it, tugging it, tugging it, tugging it, tugging it Tuesdays. Okay, I spent that whole time trying to think of something I could talk about with tugging it, and this is kind of like a tug of war. You remember playing tug of war when you're a kid? What a good game, but also what a bullshit game. You know, it really hurt your hands playing that, right? You always want to have the fat kid on your team, right? And nobody ever really wins in tug of war. It's like, oh, you fucking pull it back, and then the other team feels, you know, they let go of the rope, and then you end up falling on your ass because you want. I mean, that wasn't that good of a tug in a Tuesday, was it? We gotta talk about a while ago. Oh yeah. This is something that happened. I've done. This last summer, I was texting it was like my girlfriend at the time. Things were kind of off and on and whatever, and she's got me all horny and she's, you know, sending me nudes, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting all fired up, and I'm like, oh shit. And she's like, show me your dick, and I'm like, well, I'm driving, like I'm in my truck, and she's like, well, show me, and I'm like, all right, fuck, I'll pull over. So I pull over in this parking lot of I think it was a church in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. I pull over in this parking lot, and I'm like, I can see people, and she's like, show me your dick. And I'm like, fuck it. Nobody here is going to see me or remember me. So I whip out my dick, and it's harder than a rock, right? And she's like, oh, yeah, it's so hot. And then I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna whack off right now. So we kind of FaceTimed, and I put a sock on it, and I just fucking tugged one out in the middle of this church parking lot in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And so anybody, if you're listening from Moose Jaw, you go to the church and you saw me whacking it in my pickup truck there, well, don't judge, Sometimes people gotta whack it, That's it. You could get addicted to whacking too. Just like you can get addicted to your phone, to your all-you-can-eat shrimp. You can get addicted to Taylor Swift. You can whack it to Taylor Swift. You can get addicted to whacking, but it feels good. It's one of those things that feels good. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm sober. Am I whacking it? Sure. Why not? You imagine I just stopped whacking it for a year? Fuck, I would be so miserable. Anyways, guys, that's been the podcast. We're going to be back on the 30th. That'll be the week before I go to Austin and then LA. So the next episode, I'm gonna have a guest on next week, and then the following week I will be in Austin or LA. I don't know when I'll do the podcast. I think I fly that day. So at any rate, you guys will get the podcast if you tune in and check, and you can find it, I think, on Spotify now, iTunes, and if not, you can check it out on YouTube. But you probably know that if you've made it this far and you're listening. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. We'll see you next week.